Hello and welcome back to another episode of Classic Mix Up Podcast, episode 21. We're back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how's it going?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Pretty good. Good. Just enjoying some weather. It's finally spring.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
Looking
sprung.
forward to the end of the semester.
Hmm.
Just listening to music sounds better when the sun is out.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, it's been warm down here.
Yeah,
It's been like in the 70s the past
yeah,
2 days. So,
yeah. It's been in the 50s in the past 2 days here, so that's pretty much the
oh yeah,
equivalent.
that's like hot for you guys. Are you guys all like
Yeah,
burning up?
yeah. I mean, I walked outside. Well, okay, so yesterday morning. I
Hmm.
walked outside. I was wearing a long sleeve t-shirt and jeans. And then after my first class, when I went home back to my room, I had to change into a short sleeve t-shirt. So yeah, it was
Damn.
cooking.
Yeah, I wore like a rolled up button up sleeve with
Yeah.
no shirt underneath and shorts and sandals today. So I
Yeah.
was
Wow. Beach day.
Yeah, dude, I felt like a frat boy. I was like
That's
walking
cool.
around. Yeah,
That's
yesterday
cool.
was pants, shoes, and t-shirt. So,
Yeah. I'm excited for the summer. It's gonna be fun.
oh
So,
yeah, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be a good
but
summer.
yeah. Other than that, it's been pretty normal.
Yeah, me too, man. This week flew for no reason. I guess because of Easter. Happy Easter, everybody.
Yeah. Right. Happy Easter.
Um, but yeah, I was just I don't know. Just I've had so much stuff to do. Like, I
Yeah. I
mean,
think that's everybody.
it's just the end of the semester. I guess. When is your last
Yeah.
week? The last week of April.
So next week is my last week of classes, and then I have finals week after that. So yeah,
Oh,
last week
okay.
of
So
April.
my
Yeah.
my finals week is the week after your finals week.
Okay.
So
So the first
my
week of May
last week
then.
of classes. Oh no. So damn, it's that close. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's that close,
I
dude.
have to look at my calendar.
I have
Yes,
like
it's the same.
15. I'm coming home in 15 days.
Wow.
2 weeks from
Man, that's
tomorrow.
crazy.
Yeah, I know it's exciting.
That's
So
scary,
yeah,
dude.
it
Like I
kind of
got,
is. Yeah, like I
I
applied
got,
back to my old job today. Like it's
yeah,
like summer is coming. Yeah.
yeah. I just have so much stuff to do. Like I got like a project due Thursday, a paper due Saturday, then a essay due next Thursday, and then
Sounds like fun.
finals week I have two essays, and then actually finals week is not that bad. It's just I have one actual final on Thursday, so that's not bad.
Yeah. Well, at least we have our little escape here, right?
Yeah, dude.
A
Oh man,
little
it gives me an
at
excuse
least
to listen to music.
yeah, an hour, couple hours a week to just focus
Yeah,
on something else, right?
yeah, man, for sure,
So yeah, I guess
for
without
sure.
further ado, that kind of leads us into what we're doing here, which is talking
Yeah,
about music.
yes, the classic mix-up, Rosario.
The
Well,
classic mix-up
if you guys
podcast.
never listened to us before, I'm Riley and that's Rosario. We are Classic Mix-Up. This is our weekly podcast where we usually talk about albums. We give each other an album and do a little review, and then we kind of talk about what we liked, didn't like, give our top 3 songs, and then we talk about music for the last 20 or so minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you want to get into what we gave each other last week?
Yeah, right. So yeah, so like Riley said, we each give each other an album. So the one that I picked for him to listen to,
Mhm.
it was Heaven or Las Vegas by the Cocteau Twins,
Mhm.
which is an album that came out in I think 1990. I want to say
Yeah.
it's like a very very like ethereal kind of like dream pop album, and it's super interesting and weird, and it's not like necessarily one of my all-time favorites, which is kind of like what I would
It's an
default
album.
to. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting, and it's great to listen to and just kind of relax to, and it's considered, well, one thing is that it's considered like highly influential in like the dream pop and shoegazy like scene,
Yeah.
and I think you'll see a lot of like modern artists kind of cite this, or at least the band the Cocteau Twins is one of their biggest inspirations. So I definitely think it's an important album to kind of just hear once as you kind of get more into that genre. So yeah.
Yeah. And then I gave you Witness by Benjamin Booker, which came out 2017-ish, I think.
Mm-hmm.
2017, something like that.
Something like that.
And it is the second album of punk blues artist Benjamin Booker. He's very I would say his delivery on things is very unorthodox, and it's very kind of unique. Like
Very
you don't
unique. Yeah.
expect it to sound the way that he sounds, and songs will break down in a good way and like out of nowhere, out of after soul singing and all this kind of stuff. So we have a couple albums for you guys this week that are going to be interesting breakdowns that actually kind of divert from our typical where I give Rosario a blues album and he gives me a rap album or vice
Yeah.
versa. And these two albums are pretty unique and can kind of be broken down
Yeah.
into layers and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's gonna be a good episode this week.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you want to start with the Heaven or Las Vegas then? Since
Yeah,
we
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, I kind of gave my reasons why I gave it to you. It's definitely interesting. It's very weird. Like one thing about it that I'm not really used to is that you can't understand a word they're saying.
No.
I think like I Googled because I so they're Scottish, the Cocteau
Mm.
Twins. So I know it's in English, but I just Googled is Heaven or Las Vegas in English, and the answers say yes, but no one quite understands what they're
Knows what they're
saying.
saying.
No, it's very mysterious.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool.
yeah, it is kind of cool. Like I kind of like that
Mm.
aspect of it a little bit, to where you don't really, when you listen to it, you don't really think about the words. You're more just kind of transported by the music. It's a very like atmospheric kind of like experience.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. This is nothing like I've ever listened to. Like I've heard of dream pop and I've listened
Yeah.
to some dream pop stuff, but I didn't know how influential it was until I was listening to it. Well, I got into my car with my girlfriend and
Mm-hmm.
she was like, "Oh, I love this song." And it was like I think it was like Pitch
Yeah.
the Baby or something like that. So the second song on the
Yeah.
album.
Right.
And she's like, I'm like, yeah, I have to listen to this weird ass album for a classic mix up. And she's like, this is like influential music.
It is.
Just like
Yeah.
jamming out to all the music. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't know that. Like I was just thinking it's some weird dream pop shit. So then
Yeah.
I kind of got into it. I kind of went from being like, oh, this is weird to okay, this is like influential and kind of diverse. So I guess like I listened to this album a couple times through. I guess that's good because it is 37 minutes long and not like an
Yeah.
hour
Well,
or
I
two.
think if it was any longer, it would start getting like
Boring.
Yeah, it would start getting boring
Mm.
because as good as I think it is, I think it being so short and so just like it's like a flash in the pan, like quick experience, like kind of like you're in and you're out. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very unique experience listening to this album. It's like totally weird. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
like
it's wild. I was like, there's a few songs on here that I'm like, what is this, dude? What am
yeah,
I
no,
listening?
it's crazy.
I can zone out and be like, like jamming out, and then I'll realize how weird it is, and then I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, that's
So
kind of the reason I picked it. Is like you said a couple minutes ago. You said like you like you've never heard anything like this at all, which is
yeah.
I think it's rare for me to find something that's unlike anything you've ever heard. So, like last week when I had been listening, I had songs from this album just stuck in my head, and
Yeah.
when it comes time to pick the album, I was like,
Oh,
let's
you got to
just
give
this a
it.
shot. Yeah, so like going into more specifics, like songs like Cherry Colored Funk,
Yeah.
the first track on the album and the title track on the album, like they're so catchy, which is it's weird that for lyrics that are pretty much just equivalent to just noises, how catchy it can actually be.
But that's kind of the best because you're not really jamming to the lyrics. You're really getting into it. You're allowed
Definitely.
to just like not know the lyrics. That's kind of the best part when you don't understand it.
Right. I was reading a Reddit post about that came from my Google search of is Heaven or Las Vegas in English.
Yeah.
And I read something that was interesting because it's like some things that you've said before in a way. But one of the people was like on Reddit was like, I don't really care that I can't understand a word she's saying because her voice almost acts just like another instrument on the song.
Oh, I've said that so many times.
Yeah, so that made me think of you for sure.
Well, because you're a lyric guy, and I think that's why we have such good musical discussions is because I'm the noise guy and you're the lyric guy.
Right, I like looking into kind of some
I'm more of the
symbolic meanings.
sonic, yeah. So I think that's why we tend to have good music
like synergy.
discussions. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's almost like we're just enough of we look at the different things in music, so it's kind of
Right.
and it's a good album that you're listening to that you're like, oh man, this is good still, and there I can't understand the lyrics. And I
Yeah.
mean, like, you get into like, I love like German folk. You ever listen to like German folk, anything like that?
I don't think so. I mean, it's funny we bring this up here. It's like I don't listen to a lot of foreign music like outside of English because I don't typically listen to instrumentals, and I don't typically listen to stuff that's not in English because I do find it very soothing to like hear lyrics, and I find it unsettling to not understand what's going on. So
Yeah, so
this was a very weird experience for me. This album.
there's you took German, right, in high school?
Yeah, for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's this German band called Ahnen me Kent Erit or some shit. It's in German. I don't know
Yeah.
what the
Didn't you
fuck.
take German too?
Yeah, for 2 years, but
Okay.
I know a little bit, but I'm not like you. You were like 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years. So
but
I
it's
took it
also
for 2.
been 2 years since I've been there. So
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but so there's this German band, and they kind of
Mhm.
do like a pop rock kind of folky. It's more folky. It reminds you of like Hosier kind of stuff.
Okay.
And it's all in, most of their songs are in German. And then they're one of their most popular songs is called Pocahontas, and it goes Es tut mir like Pocahontas. And it's like,
yeah,
dude,
that's funny. We had to learn that phrase. I forget what that means. Isn't it like
me too or something? Well, I like it too.
I don't know. Yeah, it's something.
Me
That
too.
sounds like extremely familiar, but anyways, yeah,
but I love it because like you can sing the lyrics and not know. Like I don't
and just not know
German all that way. Like I can understand like sentence structure, and then some words are like when it's like he's talking about someone else, if it's a girl, guy. But then past that, I don't know.
Yeah, no, and that's how I am to bring it back. That's how I am for like the title track on the album, for example. Like,
yeah,
it'll get stuck in my head, and I'll just be like walking around it in my head. I'm just going like, and then like
yeah.
I don't like I have no idea what they're saying,
Yeah.
but it's just making noises to me.
Dude, it was
but
good.
It sticks.
It was good because the music, the way that it's made, it was very like you could tell how many people this inspired. Like even like I think of what's the Mac DeMarco song, like Chamber of Reflection, the you know, like the synth,
that's kind of
that shit sounds like this album, like the very slow Mac DeMarco songs.
Yeah, so that's kind of the next like generation of like dream pop. So there was like obviously the Cocteau Twins and like Mazzy Star, like all those like old school kind of
Mazzy.
Yeah, like all those old school kind of dream pop albums and or bands. But then now you look today and you have like your like Mac DeMarco and like Clairo and like now it's transitioned into like bedroom pop, which is still that like ethereal kind of like hazy, lush sounding music, but it's more like articulated and a little more poppy.
Yeah.
But their influence is wide. You know, like even like The Weeknd has a song called Heaven or Las Vegas on one of his albums.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just interesting how much they've like, you know, how broad their reach is. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was with Abby, she was like, I was like, oh, I've never heard of this album. She's like, you never heard of the Cocteau Twins? And I was like, no. And she's like, you need to broaden your horizons. I'm like, listen,
that's funny because if you ask me, your horizons are broad.
And I listen to everything people recommend. Like I dig deep, and I'm like, I can find deep cuts. Even
you're not afraid of anything.
Even artists I don't like, I listen to all of their shit. Like even Phoebe and like all this kind of like Lana Del Rey. I don't not know my shit.
Right, like you sat through an hour and 20 minutes of Lana album just to see. I haven't even done that.
Yeah, I listened to an album I did not. I had no want of listening, and I listened to it because it's what I like to do. I like to know.
You're a professional music listener.
Yeah, or my girlfriend holds me knife point.
Well, no, I know the feeling because like there's just so much out there that if you're missing something, it just feels like, how did I miss this?
I like to have good conversations with people and know what they're talking about. That's
totally. Yeah. Well, that's one thing for me is like the way I found this album was like, as I got into this kind of side of music more, like the more alt side, like, you know, like I mentioned earlier with the bedroom pop and stuff like that, the more indie stuff. I see this album in conversation everywhere. It's it's number 1 for 1990 on Rate Your Music. It's number 57 overall. So according
That's
to Rate Your
awesome.
Music, it's the 57th
Well,
best album ever.
Rate Your
So
Music, in my opinion, is full of fucking snobs.
I
that hate to
understand
go
it's like
touch grass.
I understand. So that's what I was going to
They
get to is like
tit.
if you're in the pretentious music discussion circle, which I am, whether it's by choice or not,
I
you
think
see
we
this
both
record
are, sadly,
everywhere.
but I think
Yeah,
we both are.
But you see this album everywhere in the.
Which is so funny because I've never heard of this album before. Like, never
yeah, like I
even...
said, it's like a Anthony Fantano Twitter fan type of
yeah.
album.
I guess I'm not on Twitter like that anymore. I kind of was for a little bit.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny is like me neither really, but I would say like 2019, 2020, like especially 2020 is when I got like addicted to social media.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably can be said for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I got into all these, kind of like more niche music discourses on Twitter and just kind of broadened my horizons a lot, which of course ends up being a good thing, but also you encounter some people who are kind of.
Yeah, and I think certain albums, like the popularity, the resurgence of certain albums from the past go in waves. So like, Nutrimilk Hotel in an Airplane Over the Sea.
Yeah.
That was our first episode. We talked about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we love Nutrimilk Hotel on this podcast.
We do.
But that album was a huge fad to like what, 3 years ago? It was all over Twitter.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
And
now
not so
I don't see it often.
No,
yeah.
no one. Now that everybody knows Nutrimilk Hotel, it's like, oh, it's not cool to like them.
Yeah, now it's like normie now.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're not really into it. I like, fucking this shitty garbage pop where it's like it's like you can't hear anything.
Like noise, harsh noise
porn.
That was a trend that I saw a lot on music Twitter was god damn it, what's it called? Dude, this is gonna kill me now. It's like this like harsh noise album. Like it was like Demon something. It was like Demon Pulse or something.
I
Does that
think
ring
so.
any bells?
I don't.
Pulse Demon, yeah. Pulse Demon. It's like this harsh noise album.
But you can do like I was talking to who was it talking to you about this? But it's like, we love like JPEG Mafia and like Danny Brown, like these guys who like their music is just aggressive random noises, but it works in a way that it suits their lyricism.
Yeah, it's like there's order in the
personality.
Chaos.
Yeah. So it's like you can do it in a way that is good. Like some of the best metal music is just like just throw your head at the wall, like fast blast beats, breakdowns, like so like the best Slipknot album of all time is Iowa, which is their second album, and it's the hardest album of theirs by far. But it has great structure, but it has some of the nastiest like riffs, all this kind of distortion. And so it's like, you can make noisy albums sound good, but I don't get that stuff sometimes. But
well, I think the bottom line is like, kind of bringing it back to, broadening your horizons and stuff like that is like music in general is so broad and there's just so much stuff out there that like it's incredible what the creative minds of different people can do. Cause like I know for me, I'm not really a creative. I like music, but I've never really played any instruments or written any music or anything like that. So to me, it's just so impressive to see, what comes from the minds of people, like whether I like it or not. I just think it's like amazing to see this like creation and to listen to an album like this and just think that, someone thought of this, like this had never been done before.
Right.
And someone just like pretty much just made it up and made it work.
Yeah. And it succeeds like on that field. Like I was like, I think once I understood the historic, like importance of
like the significance
album,
of it.
The significance. I really let it like
you opened up to it more.
Yeah. I let it, morph into my brain and kind of let it into my ears and all this kind of shit. So I loved it. I think it had just enough diversity to like not keep you bored as well. Where like
that's awesome.
And I loved like I loved that it had strong beginning and it didn't have any weak spots. Like there was no part of the album that was worse than the other part. I think equally the album was
it's pretty consistent. Yeah. I like that to go back to a point that you said, I like that you mentioned like the diversity, because that's one thing that I didn't notice until I listened to it twice this week in full. So the
Mm-hmm.
first time I listened to it this week in preparation for this was the first time I noticed like how diverse the songs actually are
Right.
when you're paying close attention and kind of trying to take it in.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at a song like Ice Blink Luck, for example, which is the third song.
Mm-hmm.
And like Ice Blink Luck demonstrates the ability to shift tones from the more like melancholic side of things to the more like the soothing kind of smooth upbeat style.
I think Road, River, and Rail does the same thing too.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
It's that kind of that beginning even's a little like it's more like heavy, like it's surprisingly heavy, and it goes into more straightforward lyricism. Where the rest of the album, even like the first track, Cherry Color Funk, is more daisy. It's more like you're in a haze, like walking around.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Yeah, I was on Rate Your Music reading the descriptors for this album.
Mm-hmm.
And the two that I picked out the most were ethereal and atmospheric.
Yeah,
those kind of describe it perfectly. Yeah, but
because you can pick up on certain things on every song, but you really can't pinpoint it as like, oh, this is like, it's very like, oh, it's good. It's good stuff. I'm we're like second wave, third wave dream pop guys, so it's kind of like.
Well, another thing, it also is like, from our point of view, like from like on the podcast, like it's kind of hard to describe the album. Obviously, I think we've said it enough times now. It's very weird and unique. So it's definitely one that you kind of just have to hear
and
yourself.
it grew on me. It grew on
Me
me
too.
as I like turned it up as well. Like turning it up, like you could just hear more diverse noises. Like I think I might. Like I didn't listen to this album with headphones on. That's one thing, is I'd love to hear it with like surround sound headphones, because I'm sure it had a lot of like almost like like Tame Impala. Tame Impala has like the early Tame Impala has the movement of like where the surround sound is like behind you, and that like shoo shoo shoo,
and that like messes with your brain and totally
it like makes you like roll your neck out a little bit, like, oh damn, dude, I'm in a trance right now. So I mean, hey.
You're absolutely right about the complexity of how the music is made. Like looking at like specifically the title track, for example, there's like a layering of like multiple different types of drums on there. Like on the bottom, like I know I describe it as the bottom, but like sonically the lowest like point you can hear, like the quietest thing, you can hear like literally like a bongo in the back, like just isolated. That's just like totally apart from the rest of the song, and you can just like pick that out. But if you're not listening for it, it just everything is layered together and just over top of each other. The vocals are layered in that song as well. So like you have the main singing, of course, but then you also have like the harmonizing in the back. It's like by layering the vocals and the instrumentals like that, though, it does create this very moving experience.
I agree. I think even, I don't know, what I really liked was certain songs, like I don't know how to describe it, but certain songs will catch your ears, like, almost like catch your eye, but it'll catch your ear in a sense of like a song that really caught my ear, like two songs. It was Pitch the Baby and Fotsa Politic.
Okay.
And those two songs I was listening, and like the beginnings aren't super crazy, especially Pitch the Babies, like coming off of Cherry Color Funk, which is super fun, and like the definition.
I love Cherry Colored Funk.
I mean, it's literally the baseline for this album. It's that, it's that ethereal mixed with some kind of like singing that you can kind of catch on to, some little like bars or like chorus or whatever. And then, Pitch the Baby is kind of one of those songs that like comes in kind of slow and generic, but then in my opinion really catches my ear, like longer it plays, and it's just as long as the first song. And then Fotsa Politic as well is like, I was like, I don't know, it's kind of sandwiched in between two songs that kind of were misses for me. So like I Wear Your Ring and Wolf in the Breast were kind of misses for me. So I really liked Fotsa Politic, because I was like, oh man, I have like when I got past Heaven or Las Vegas, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be like the same 10 songs for the rest of the album. And then I because of I Wear Your Ring is kind of out there a little bit, but I like Fotsa Politic. I don't know what it was. It kind of just caught my ear. Like it was just a little different enough from the songs in between it. And then Road, River, and Rail really like
Yeah.
did the same thing where at first I was like, oh shit, okay, it's gonna be a boring song. And then I gave it another second and then it kicked off and it kind of went into that ethereal level of
Mhm.
like, and then
Road River and Rail is probably the most different song
yeah,
out of the 10.
it's almost
Um,
like a I almost could say like Led Zeppelin-y, like it I would
I
compare it
was
to
gonna
like
say there's more rock and roll
yeah,
elements in it. Like you can definitely feel the drums, like they feel like bigger and more prominent.
yeah,
And it's also the most like articulate song. That's the one that you can understand the best, probably, I would
yeah.
say. So it feels a
Um
little more traditional.
I think it reminds me of the Led Zeppelin song. I think uh I think it's Road to California or something like that.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be familiar, but
I will look it up. I'm
but anyways,
going to
yeah.
California.
Okay.
It reminds me of Going to California off of Led Zeppelin 4 for some reason.
Okay.
I think it's the beginning and the singing. It's kind of more like swooshy and like more like marchy, more like it would be in like I don't know, The Hobbit or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually weirdly makes sense to me because it's more like structured than the rest.
Yeah,
Well, I mean the whole thing is structured, but in its own way. This is
yeah,
more traditionally structured, like I said, with those more kind of
exactly.
prominent rock and roll elements. But yeah, so I pretty much agree with what you said about those songs. We mentioned Cherry Colored Funk. I think that song is just beautiful.
Yeah, great song. Best song.
Um,
I think best song by far is Cherry Color Funk.
it's
But
it's
that's
tough
kind of
for
a
me to
no-brainer.
choose. It's tough for me to choose actually between Cherry Colored Funk and the title track, Heaven or Las Vegas. So
Mm, okay,
I'll probably go with
respect
Cherry
that.
Colored Funk, but I think Heaven or Las Vegas I find stuck in my head all the time, and that like layering of the vocals that I mentioned is just like
Yeah,
so cool to
yeah.
me. But then a sleeper pick, I think for me, one that I'll throw in is the last track on the album. It's Frou
True, true.
Frou Foxes and Midsummer Fires.
Yeah, that song's great too. I was gonna
It's good,
mention that
yeah.
as like a good song as well. It ends the album really
It
well.
ends the album really good, and it's interesting how like the chorus of the song just kind of plays at the end of it. Like my favorite part is the end where the chorus just kind of
Mhm.
repeats
Yeah,
and the chorus fades. And when if you loop it, the chorus of that song fades really nicely into the beginning of Cherry
of
Colored
Cherry Color
Funk.
Funk. Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit symbolic of just the type of album that this is, being kind of the atmospheric transportational
Mm,
album, having
yeah.
it be able to loop like that and kind of like just keep you engulfed as if like hypothetically you could just
Mm,
be looping it forever without noticing is just really interesting to me.
yeah. And I think that aspect of this album defines the genre. I think it's the
Oh, totally.
purest way of defining this genre is like ethereal, continuous.
Yeah,
Like
it
make
could
sure
just
your
loop
music
forever.
could be shuffled and not be, you know, the
Mhm.
beginning cannot be different from the end, from whatever. Like it's this album could be shuffled all the way through and still sound amazing. Like
Yeah,
it'd be you would never know that it's not the way it's supposed to be, but in a good way.
right.
It's every piece of the puzzle can go with every piece, and it's so perfect.
Yeah, and with that said, I go back to what we said earlier about it only being 38 minutes is fine by me because that experience of it just being over so quick is like I don't know, like it would almost feel like a slog to be listening to this type of music for any longer. It's just like a quick just like escape, just weird trance crazy thing happening in your brain and then it's like over
Yeah.
quickly and then you're like, "Oh, that was cool."
Well, and
It's almost like a roller coaster or something.
what's awesome about this album too is you could take out the single songs, put them in a playlist, and they won't
Totally.
feel left out. They'll go with any playlist, like a summer playlist, a winter playlist, a spring playlist, a fall
Definitely.
playlist. Like you could have any mood, there's a song for every type of mood, which is weird because they all sound similar, like they're made on the same album
Right.
by the same band. But I think that's kind of dream pop for you though. Like it could kind of suit the person. It's not like depressing music. It's not necessarily upbeat music. It's not melancholic. It's ethereal. It's above the plane of existence. It's
Yeah, and it really is. It's one you
transcendent.
yeah, it's one I mean like I don't really, if you found this podcast without having heard the album, I'd say we probably should have said this earlier, just say it's like stop, go listen to it.
Yeah, always. When we link the albums and
Yeah,
anything we
right.
talk
Right.
about
We'll
in the
put it in the
description.
description. Yeah.
So if you're ever like, man, I want to know what these guys are talking about, just take a second and we've named a few songs, and just go listen to those single songs, and then just you'll get the gist of the album even. So, but I recommend this album 100% to listen to all the
Yeah,
way through.
awesome. I'm glad you like found all
I
that
like
from
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
sweet.
I would recommend Road River Rail, Foza Politic, and Pitch the Baby if I'm gonna go off the beaten path a little bit. So
Yeah, I
those
was
are
good.
three
Yeah,
songs
those
that
are
I like.
definitely a good a good like deep cut
Yeah.
trio. And then, obviously we mentioned like the big ones are Cherry Colored Funk and Heaven or Las Vegas. So you can't go wrong with those either. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much all. I think we hit all the notes for
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I think we can go ahead and move on to your album this week.
Yeah, so I gave Rosario the 2017 album Witness by Benjamin Booker, and I fell in love with this album when I was 15 when it came out. And
Okay.
this was like sophomore, sophomore or junior year of high school, and kind of like discovering new friends. So it has good memories associated with it, like very fun, like exploring. But I don't think it's because of those memories that this album holds a good spot in my heart. It's just one of my favorite albums, period. Because I think it has a good diversity of music that I like. Like
Mm-hmm.
it has soul aspects, it has punk aspects, it has a message to it. Each song kind of has different messages to it. Lyrics aren't super complicated to understand, and it's unique sounding. Like so, it's pretty
Definitely
cool.
unique sounding. Yeah. I'm a little surprised I didn't hear about this earlier because I do feel like it has all of your kind of stuff that you like. It's kind of like bundled up and wrapped into one place here. It definitely is like, obviously I think a lot of songs are pretty bluesy. Like it reminded me of some of the stuff that I would hear on the Black Keys albums,
Mm-hmm.
but also like his style of singing is not like a typical blues rock singer. Has like that kind of soul
Yeah.
singer twang to it. And so yeah, and he has a lot of different styles of like guitar playing on here. Like obviously it's primarily like more bluesy, like more blues like and rock related, but
Mm-hmm.
also he has some stuff that and this is just, probably because of like where like geographically the album originates from. Like he's I forget exactly where he's from. I looked it up, but he's from the South, I'm pretty sure. And
Louisiana.
yeah, probably, yeah, that sounds right. So
Yep.
it definitely has some like southern drawl to it. It sounds like,
Soul music,
yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, and
Yeah.
it does a good job of like, like we've already said it a bunch. Like it's super unique. It's almost hard to describe. He captures like the kind of sing songiness of like a folk singer that makes you just want to kind of like sit down like and relax and just kind of smile and nod your
Mm-hmm.
head. But he also has like those punk elements in it.
Yeah.
And there's I forget which track it is. I didn't write it down, I don't think. But there's one song that's just like super like nice and relaxed, and then all of a
The
sudden
Off
it's
the
just like,
Ground, track 8.
yeah, it's like very just kind of mundane, like almost Jack Johnson-y, like talking,
Yeah.
just guy talking, and then like he like the electric guitar comes in all of a sudden, and it's like this punk song, and
Yeah.
that was kind of crazy. That was cool.
But it's still so soulful. Like it still
Yeah,
keeps
well,
like
that's just the way he sings,
yeah. What I think too is like this album really starts off heavy. So like Right on You is the first song,
Mm-hmm.
and it's that it's super fast. It's like I think the riff is like
Yeah, something like that.
and then it's I don't know, and it's fast, but then the next 4, 5,
Are
6
really like pretty
songs are
slow.
slow.
And then
But
all of a sudden you get to like we said, like track 8, and it's like in your face again. So
yeah. So
yeah.
and I wanted to give you this album because his first album is more raw and punk elements, like that fast guitar. So
Okay.
I kind of wanted to give you the more mix of like I know you like folk, I know, it's like you
Yeah,
like the
sure.
little faster stuff, but I think that like I think this has good messages on it too. Like I don't know. I love like the the song Believe, which is I
Me
think the
too.
most popular song. It's just so powerful. Like it
I
doesn't
agree.
it has like the I guess like not the chorus, but like the bridge, I guess, is really like powerful. I don't know. It's just this like kind of feeling of being young in maybe like America, you know, when you
Yeah,
don't have like something that you believe in, you know, whether it
I
be love
totally
or
agree.
stuff like that.
I agree that the song "Believe It" has like a triumphant like
Hmm.
feeling to it. You know, like feel like a conquer the world type of feeling.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the album kind of had that. Like he seems like a very like confident, performer. Like he seems like a very like just collected. Like like it's kind of almost opposite to Heaven in Las Vegas, which feels kind of very like sporadic and all over the place, like
Mm.
still structured but a little more chaotic. Where this feels a little more collected and structured, and this seems like a guy who is very smart, musically talented, definitely
Mhm.
knows what he was doing, like arranging these songs, and it seems just very well composed, and he seems like a guy with a lot of confidence. He sings with a lot of confidence,
Yeah.
and that I think gives the music that, like I said, kind of triumphant feel to it, where it's really easy to just kind of listen and have a smile on your face and just nod your head along and get really into it, which is good for like a punk rocker.
Yeah.
But he
No,
also has the voice of like a soul singer.
yeah. And what's really cool about Benjamin Booker is that his shows, he only plays with most of his shows, he only plays with like a classical guitar. So not
Okay.
even like an acoustic, like the nylon string, like, so all of these songs, like, are usually performed acoustically by himself, which is crazy because
That's
there's some
interesting.
of these songs that have a chorus, you know, like a choir and like, you know, like this loud, heavy guitar in it and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
so it probably
at
sounds
the
way
same
different then.
time, like songs like Carrie and Overtime and like Believe, Witness, Slow Drag Under are like have these like slow aspects that you take away the high production and the choir and the electric guitar, and you still have a great song, which is I think amazing. I think I love that
Yeah.
diversity that all of Benjamin Booker's are like Booker's songs are like that.
That's a really cool dynamic that he's not relying on any one part of his kind of repertoire. He's
Yeah.
like, using he's perfectly combining, his voice, which is unique, and it is he has a great singing voice. He's combining that with his kind of bluesy guitar, and also the some songs use the electric guitar. He's got different drum patterns on some songs, or more acoustic on other songs. He definitely has like a wide skill set, and
Hmm.
he's not leaning too heavily on one thing. It's like very well rounded.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
It's
think overall
sweet.
it's a solid album. It's again very short, and only a couple songs that really jumped out to me as like amazing songs. But overall, it's a very like consistent album, and like I said, it seems very like I don't know what the word is. I was gonna say it seems like very safe. I don't know if that's like a good way to describe it, but it's very like he had like a clear vision and
Yeah.
like executed it like really, particularly. There's not
Yeah.
any there wasn't any like, loose ends on it. Not to say there wasn't like character on it though. Not to say
No,
that he didn't
100%.
leave his
Like
mark.
every song has a like they coherently intertwine in a way of sonically this is an album. Like you can tell that this
Right.
all these songs belong together on this album, but each one has its own message and attitude about it kind of in a way.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree with that. It's not like they weren't made without care. They were obviously, like I
Well,
said, very
and I was trying to think of a song that I don't like on this album or like that's like the weakest song and like
right.
I don't
It's
think
hard.
there is one because like every song has an intention. You know, each song is supposed to be slow or supposed to be
Mhm.
less lyrical or sudden or you know, but like every time I listen to this album, it's like right when I get bored of a song, the next song is good or like pretty fun to listen to or
Yeah,
slow but then like powerful, the next song's powerful. So I don't really get sick of any songs because like they're either short or have a good chorus, you know, there's something to each song that will keep me coming back at least. That's what I like about this album.
yeah, and they are. You said the word powerful. A lot of the songs are very powerful, especially for like
Mhm.
a rock album. I think he was spending a lot of time, actually like saying some real things and making out very well thought kind of calls to action and well thought out lyrics. So I kind of regret not like looking into that more, I guess. I don't have
Mhm.
any like concrete examples, but
Mhm.
I could definitely say that songs like, Motivation, Witness, The Slow Drag Under, Believe, we already mentioned. Like, I can definitely remember just off the top of my head that those songs all have like some meaning behind them, and that he was, obviously creating them with some specific intention. So
Yeah. I think a song right after Believe too, which is
Overtime.
Overtime, it has some it's a way slower song compared to like the song after, which is Off the Ground, which is the song that you were talking about has that
Yeah.
split in the middle. But Overtime has some beautiful work with the chorus, and the guitar is almost like slightly distorted, and it's just a fun little upbeat song. Like it reminds me of driving, like going camping or something like that. Like a nice like while the sun's setting day when the crickets are out, like, but the sun's out, and it's just like very, like you're working overtime, like it's very like,
Yeah.
like you've had a long day and you need time to just
Kind of
chill
unwind.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I it's kind of unfortunate that he hasn't released anything since this, because I think like he has a lot of talent. I
mm,
think like he could do better, even also, not to take anything away from this album, but I would definitely be like looking out for his next release,
oh yeah,
because
me too.
like I think he's like a really talented guy. But obviously now it's been like 6 years since his last album. I don't know if he's like, obviously he's taking a little break, but I don't know if he's like really been crafting something, or if he's
Mm,
been MIA or what. But I
right.
think he's definitely an artist that is like very careful.
Yeah.
Things are carefully
And he's
placed.
super he's a private guy, but his Instagram is like his main way of communication on social
Okay.
media, and it's very estranged. Like it's very random, but he doesn't care. That's why it's very like,
Yeah, he's like doing his own thing.
yeah, he like posted like porn on there and shit, and it's like, why is this banned? This is just people. This is whatever. And he has like a family and stuff. Like he has a
Seems like an
wife and
interesting
kid.
dude.
He's a pretty chill, like any interview, he's pretty chill, but like his social media presence is very like punk. Like it's very like
Right.
the establishment tells you what to think, very like,
Yeah.
well, and it's like I forgot what I think it's true. Maybe it's Truth is Heavy, where he was basically saying like, this country doesn't have anything out there for you, or like something like that.
Yeah, kind of typical. Kind of typical. It's a weird.
Like
Cause it's
punk.
like, yeah, I was gonna say it's typical punk stuff, but he has like a Jack Johnson guitar strumming. It's just
Yeah.
very like kind of like
Or
oxymoronic in a
soulful,
way.
it's like soul punk. It's this like, he has this roughness to him, and the music production's so rough. His
Yeah,
messages
it's
are
it's
so
really cool.
like very protest, anti-establishment, like do something with yourself.
Yeah.
The establishment isn't helping you, do it yourself, but it's empowerment. It's not like destruction, it's like
No,
empowerment.
no, no. It's not like, yeah, no, it's not like death metal or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's like the typical, like we said, kind of typical like
Yeah.
punk stuff. Not even like pop punk, like I hate this town, like Midwest emo. It's
It's like
like,
true punk, like Black
yeah,
Flag, all that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, right. So it's very interesting. It's very cool to
Mm,
see these unique fusions, and to see a guy with these unique talents and very unique voice pulling this off.
mm.
I think he's doing a great job with this, but I will stick to it, saying that I think he like could have better in him potentially.
Oh
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, I'm a religiously big Benjamin Booker fan, so I follow him on everything, and he releases music on Instagram, little snippets of stuff he's writing.
Okay.
So he's writing a few songs right now. He released a full song on Instagram Live, or like the reels or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then so it's pretty good, pure
Sweet.
acoustics. So I mean, sounds like him, has some great lyricism. He posts the lyrics on it too. So it's
Yeah,
some great.
and that's how you can tell, like, he does care about like what he's saying if he's posting
Yeah.
the lyrics
So
explicitly.
I think his delay of new music had to do with his family. Like his kid is like
Sure.
very
Yeah.
young. So, and then COVID, I'm sure, didn't help with that. So, um, yeah, I think pretty soon here, he's going to be releasing music. I hope, Benjamin Booker, crossing my fingers, he releases a new album, because
Yeah,
I'm a
no,
huge
I'm
fan.
glad I found this at the time that I found it, because I'm very, like I said, pretty interested by this guy. He kind of seems like a real character. So I'm actually even more interested now, and I will be like looking out for his next release. So yeah, and as
Yeah.
far as this one, like I said, solid album. A couple songs that I really liked. I mentioned them a little bit, but Motivation
Mhm.
was the second track on the album, and that I think is the first one that I really was like, okay, this is really cool, kind of what he's doing. It's not like anything I've heard before, but Motivation, I think, is kind of where I realized, like, okay, he has this really unique voice, and he utilizes it really well on that song.
Mhm.
It's complemented nicely by that style of guitar playing that he uses in this song, which is
Mhm.
less rock and roll, less punky, a little more bluesy, a little
Mhm.
more. This is kind of the slower part of the album.
Mhm.
And then a song from kind of more the back half of the album that I like, a couple would be Believe, we already talked about.
Mhm.
Great lyricism, very just confident and triumphant song. And then Off the Ground, which is just like a jarring, fun listen because he's just like talking over the acoustic guitar, very kind of somber, a little more folksy. And then it turns and it goes to like a full punk, just kind of honestly starts screaming at you. It's very like I said, very jarring, but a cool change of pace. I think that was needed for I think if it didn't have some stuff like that on it, it would lose its luster a little bit. But the fact that it has the blues, it has the rock, it has the punk, and it has like the kind of soulful singing,
Yeah.
really it's kind of pulling from everywhere and not overwhelming you in any of them, but also not forgetting what it is and getting just to be a blend of like just nothing. It's very, very well crafted and composed and well thought out, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I love the lyricism of Off the Ground. I because it's this kind of like the lyricism is I mean, I wish, we might have to talk about this like next week or something because you like
Right, because yeah.
some of this lyricism is pretty like you might like it because
Yeah,
it's
I'm,
kind of this
I know I will.
idea of this like whether him and his girlfriend or something isn't working out. And it's like he's like because he's not doing good, and then he's like, get out now. He's like, you got to get out. But then it's like then it's still like then at the end it's after that kickoff point, like at the beginning he's like I'm looking at her and she's beautiful but she needs to
Hmm.
get out, like I'm not okay, you know like.
Yeah,
But then it's almost this switch, that kickoff is like, you know we're gonna do this, we're gonna stick with this. Now I'm making sure of this. Hallelujah, we are off the ground. Without you, trust that I'll be still. Don't worry, just remember I was almost gone. So that's the ending lyrics, which
yeah,
is pretty, in that chaos. It's this like that second half is like it's a beautiful thing. It's like he's that first part, he's like almost like, man, you're too good for me. Like, fucking leave. Like, I'm crazy. But then he's like, okay, I'm trusting you. We're doing this. We're
yeah,
gonna trust each other, which is beautiful. I like that.
yeah, definitely.
So,
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out.
I guess if I really want to break down the song "Believe" a little bit more because it is the
Yeah, no,
most
yeah. There's a
popular
lot in
song.
there.
Um, it's just a great, like, even the chorus is like, I just want to believe in something. I don't care if it's right or wrong. I just can't. I just want to believe in something. I cannot make it on my own. So it's almost this idea of like at least I related to it as a youth, and I related to it now as an older youth. I guess like that it's kind of like this belief song kind of has ideas of like that, like the sky, the world isn't so green, the grass isn't so green, the sky isn't
Yeah,
as blue as it was when you were a kid, because you don't know what to believe in. You don't know who to follow, you don't know who to trust, you don't know whether that be a direct commentary on US politics or so be it. Like, younger people are growing up and not knowing who they are. And that could be just a tale of adolescence, finding your people, finding your career, doing whatever, doing what you love, or this broader commentary on kind of starting a revolution, that more kind of punk aspect, which is pretty beautiful. because it is a beautiful song, and there's all this layered and texture stuff that you could break down every line and believe, and it's something
Right.
which I think it's really beautiful because his voice is so unique that you may not think that there's lyricism in this, that it means something, but it's really good stuff. So I recommend
Yeah.
paying attention to lyrics. Everybody that wants to listen to Believe is a great song. And Right On You, because it's a fun little kick in the ass too. That's a little good starter.
Yeah,
Um,
those two first tracks, the Right On You and Motivation, is like a fun start to the album. Like one's a little faster and one's a little slower, but
it's the two different sides of the coin for this album.
yeah, it
This
shows off his range really well, and they're both fun songs. So yeah,
I can just hear I love this album so much that I can hear the songs in my head playing, and I'm like, I don't even need to click them. I'm like, oh, it's this.
Yeah, I gotta listen to it more, because I mean, obviously, I this is always going to be how it is, but obviously we have this dynamic where I pick something and then you pick something, and like the thing that I pick, I always know pretty well, you know, and then like the thing that you pick, I'm always like, oh wow, I want to listen to this more so that I know it as good as you.
I always go back. I don't know if you do this, but I always go back and listen to at least a couple of the songs that I didn't like.
Oh,
that you
definitely.
mentioned. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll give this a second chance, or maybe I'll give this. And it always works out to being like, oh yeah, I hear it now. Like I hear. So I think having a conversation with you keeps my mind broad and not so judgmental.
Yeah, totally.
As well,
because everyone's gonna like find different stuff in it, of course. So like depending on the album, like I'll listen to it again like after so. I said this for Trick. If you remember, I think that was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I was like, yeah, like I wasn't impressed when I first listened to it, but like hearing you talk about it makes me like kind of understand a little more what it's supposed to be. And I like listened to the whole thing again like later that week, and I really. Some of the songs where I said
differently.
Yeah, I looked at it differently. Some of the songs where I said, I don't quite know how this song like fits in. I kind of get it a little more. And I think this could be a record like that for me because it is very like interesting. But beyond that, I didn't like go too in depth, like thinking about the more lyrical side of it. So I definitely want to give that a bigger chance for sure.
I think an album, and I think we've talked about this on the pod before, that like a great album isn't just an album that you listen to first time and every song is memorable and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it'll stick with you by every song becoming your favorite eventually.
Right, slowly.
That's what has happened with me with that album. It's happened with several of the Black Keys albums. That's just like you want more, and then those other songs that you didn't give a chance or didn't like at first are beautiful or like sound different, or you need that different sound, or it's pretty cool. And that's
kind of how I've picked albums for this podcast at times, because you only have so many all-time favorites, right? So sometimes I'll pick an album that's just kind of hot for me right now. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take some time to like really dive into this deeper. And like, it'll end up being like, I think Heaven in Las Vegas is a decent example to where it's one that, okay, I liked it. Like I understood it per se, but now going back and listening to it for the podcast, I've like, really like found the more like looked into the layers of it, kind of analyzed it more. And it's like has a little different meaning for me now, which is super cool. So yeah,
for sure, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, basically, in short, I mean, I'd say we've both found some pretty good music from the podcast. One thing I listen to all the time is the Wilco album, which was months ago at this point, but that's probably one of my favorites that's come out of the pod.
I bounce around. I think mine is probably the Mitski album.
Yeah, that was that's funny because that one was a total shot in the dark, but.
Yeah, I listen to that, and it's not even like going out of my way to listen to it. It's just it's just always on my playlist. It's always
I literally I was sitting in an airport waiting for my plane, and I listened to that Mitski album, and like this is freaking incredible. Like I'm like what is this? And I'm like, Riley has to hear this. And what do you know? Yeah, like you ended up liking it too. It's awesome. But
and then like the Big Thief album, Capacity. I love that now, and ironically, like that's just like a great album.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, Remo Drive, Greatest Hits.
Yeah,
that album rocks, dude. That album is insane. I'm very thankful that I found that, and it's a shame that I haven't listened to them. It's a shame that you say like their new music is like trash. I haven't listened to it, but like it's a shame because like that.
Oh, Care for Me. Care for Me, dude. That album was like incredible. I play it so much like I never didn't know it. It's like I've known it forever. I play that like all the time.
Yeah.
I love Prom King. Like that shit is
that
so
song's
good.
Amazing. We should. This is just live idea that came in my brain. Is like we should redux some episodes and like if we have some albums that we really love, we can go back and even talk about them more.
Oh
If we
yeah,
have
well, you
if
want
we
to
have new
do it for
things to
like
say.
you want to do it for like an anniversary episode? We could do
Yeah,
it
that'd be
eventually.
cool. That'd be
Like
cool. Yeah.
episode, I don't know, 25 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool to kind of like look back on our
Yeah.
favorite episodes maybe because
Mhm.
yeah, we can talk about that for sure, but yeah, that would be fun, but
Hell
yeah,
yeah, dude.
another thing that you like kind of put me on also I kind of found myself you kind of put me on is the Strokes. Like I think I talked about them now for like I don't know how many weeks running, like how many
Mhm.
weeks straight that I've mentioned that I'm listening to the Strokes, but yeah, like their first two albums, Is This It and Room on Fire, are both insane.
Mhm.
And they like make me feel some type of way. It's like
They're awesome.
scratches, dude. They like it's so unique. Like it. Well, I mean, it's not really unique anymore. Like they're so influential, but like just for like at the time, like the itch that they scratch, man, is like so niche. Like it's something that I didn't
Yeah.
even know that I
Uh,
like have.
Another album for me too was 10. Hitler Was Hermes 10,
Oh
which
yeah,
we technically did review
yeah,
that for
we
a
did,
new
and
music
one of the new
week.
music, yeah.
That shit I listen to all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to any West Side Gun all the time. I've been listening to, a lot of like Griselda this week specifically. I listened to have you heard WWCD? It's their it's West
Oh.
Side Gun, Benny and Conway like it's a Griselda
Dude,
album.
I was listening to what? It was one of the obscure West Side Gun and Conway songs.
Oh, was it
And
not the cow, was it? That one's
I'm
not
a
really
murder
obscure.
that or
Oh,
it's
Fly
like,
God Told Me to Murder That or
yeah,
something.
what song is that song?
That's Rome Streets, West Side Gun, and
Yes, so I had that song on, and
yeah,
when I was
It's a
driving.
Rome Streets
Okay,
song.
so that's probably why
Yeah.
it was probably from that era. I was listening to a playlist from the Rum Streets album, and I was listening to it, and Kanye was Conway, Jesus, Conway was rapping, and Abby wasn't really feeling it because she was like, "Can I
Obviously.
play music?" And I'm like, "No, this is a good song, like Rum Streets, West Side Gun,
Yeah.
Conway." And I was starting to talk to her about Conway, and I'm like, he has Bell's palsy. Like he can't feel half of
He
his
does.
face because he got shot. But he's in, and then I'm like, I love how me and Rosario get into coke rappers, and we're like knowing all their beef and shit, and then it's like
Yeah.
we're furthest away from being coke dealers on the
Yeah.
planet. Like we're
Well, I
the
think there's
nerds.
almost, and this is true for this is going to go off on a small tangent, but it's true for like most like modern media, like the most popular stuff like on TV and movies is like crime stuff because it's like so far removed from your average normal person's life that it brings like an excitement that like you don't get from just like living life.
Well,
So
and the sad fact is that people shouldn't have to live like that, and that people do live like that. A lot of
yeah,
people live like that in
it shouldn't be
America.
like idolized, obviously,
No,
especially
it's
in
just
music. But
well, and it's easy for people that don't live in that to be like, "Oh, whoa," like to
yeah,
fantasize
right.
like about that,
Right, like for
like
us,
us.
yeah. I mean, obviously we're guilty of it. Not that I would say I like. Well, I was gonna say
Well,
not that I would say like I idolize West Side Gun or anything,
yeah,
but
you do, dude.
a little bit, a healthy amount.
I would say that I learned from it to stay away from fuckers that sell coke because they got
Yeah,
some other shit going
don't
on
want to get
too.
wrapped up in that.
I think that's what I learned from it. I'm not being ignorant. I
Yeah,
just like learned from what they're saying. Like, stay away from dudes that sell coke because they're
yeah,
always doing some other
I
shit on the
agree.
side.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm always bumping Griselda, so that's been in my rotation. I've been listening to so not before I found West Side Gun, but before I like had my eyes opened, I guess.
Yeah.
My favorite was Benny, and I haven't listened to his stuff a lot recently, but I listened to Tana Talk 3 the other day, and that album's just awesome. Like he raps with such a unique style. Like he's like like there's a Conway lyric where it's like he says West Side Gun is the brains, but Benny is the star, and I like that lyric because he is like he raps like he almost reminds me of like Drake in a way. He's like so it's like so
I got you.
so braggy and so just like over the top and cool, but like also nonchalant and all that stuff. But the stuff he's bragging about is not like the stuff that Drake's bragging about.
Right.
Drake's bragging about like houses and like boats and stuff. And that's like what
No,
the average rapper is
you know
bragging
what
about.
song I went back and listened to was the Pusha T diss track.
Oh, the story of Adidon.
Yeah, that shit was so
It's
fucking hard.
insane.
That like how bad he got Drake and no one fucking knew, and then he just dropped that shit randomly and
Yeah.
was like, all because Drake drop like sneak diss Pusha T's fiance. It was
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah,
called was
right.
like, hey,
And then
Veronica's hot or whatever, and he's like, I know your baby mama, I know your kid's name,
dude, he went crazy.
I knew your girl's a porn star, I knew all this kind of shit. And he was like, dude, Pusha T is unmatched sometimes, man.
Yeah, no, Pusha T's insane. And also, I mean, let's not. I know you're not like a huge Drake fan, but it's also hard to talk about the beef without bringing up the Duppy freestyle, which was Drake's diss on Pusha T. Like that song's awesome too. Like Drake went after Pusha a lot too.
It's like the purest rap song that Drake has put out in the past like 8 years.
Yeah, honestly, it's awesome to hear Drake rap like that because
actually bars like I'm like that.
Yeah, no, because well, that's the thing is like Drake can rap. I say this to everybody who like hates on Drake. Is like he can rap. He just doesn't really do it anymore that much. So
he doesn't need to. He doesn't.
Well, yeah, he can he can like totally be a pop star. But yeah,
he doesn't need to. He's like he's filthy rich. He doesn't need to do shit for people that aren't fans of him.
Well, he's ascended to like a different height at this point. You know
I mean, look at our few of our friends out there. I'm not naming names, but they like literally would suck Drake's dick.
No, definitely. Could. I know. You know who you are.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm
not paying $800 to see fucking Drake. Fuck that.
Yeah, dude. Someone texted me like they got tickets and they're like, oh my god, I'm going to see Drake. Like, oh, how much for the tickets? And they're like only like $200, and I'm like only $200, and then I'm like, where are they?
You're sitting nosebleeds.
Then it's the nosebleeds. I'm like, you're not gonna see Drake. You're gonna hear Drake maybe, but you're not gonna see him.
I'm like, I could listen to that same shit, and it's a rap, so it's kind of like, unless you got a guy that's like really bar oriented, like I think seeing a JID live was awesome because he didn't have a backtrack. He rapped every fucking word, and that was the best feeling when you know a guy's rapping every word. But Drake's a singer; he's more R&B.
Yeah, I can't imagine that Drake raps every word, but
no.
Yeah.
But his thing is more of a spectacle now. His concerts are like, you know, he brings people on stage. He does all that shit.
Like he's like a pop star, which is cool for him. And I'm you know, whatever. Good for Drake. I mean, like I'm like his last couple albums have been a little lackluster for me, but I'll never be ashamed to be a Drake fan. I still like 21. Drake. So. I would never pay that money to see him in concert, but I do think he has a lot of great songs. But
what's his line that everybody's like? He said, yeah, your tits are huge, but you're smart or something like that. He said that. Yeah, you're smart, but your tits are fucking huge or something like that. And I was like, Drake.
Nice.
Hey, it's Drake. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Paris, Texas dropped a single. You listened to Paris, Texas?
No.
Never?
Mm-mm.
Damn, I might have to give you one of their albums then. The only problem is they have like no music out. They have one like EP. It's like 20 minutes long, but I honestly think like it'd be that's tough because like I don't know how much content we could get out of that, but like I feel like you need to hear it.
For real?
Yeah, for real. I don't know if you're ready to assign things for next week so I can save it in the barrel, but I think I don't know. I mean, do you think? I mean, we've done a 20 minute.
Yeah, let's do. You ever heard of Coast Contra?
Yeah, I haven't like.
Okay, so I want to get into them a little bit, so I'm gonna give you their new album, or it's from last year.
All right, so
their first album, I think it's called Apartment 505.
Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen this around. I've heard the song with BJ the Chicago Kid.
Yeah,
I forgot what it's called.
This song Pimpin' Benjamins is so good, and I think their lyricism, like topical, is so cool because it's like it goes back to like late '80s. Like mid 80s, first wave, second wave.
Okay, rap. Sweet. Yeah, I'm glad you gave me that because I literally have a list of, you can't see it, but they're on my own personal list, so that's kind of like they were one stone thing.
I think the one guy was on he was on a bunch of like Sway. I think he was on Sway in the morning.
Yeah.
So they were getting a little pop from the radio and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's cool. Okay, I was just gonna say like we did a 20-minute album before, and it was a major success with Ferris Wheel on Fire. So I'll just go for it, and I'll just go ahead and give you the 20-minute album. It's called Boy Anonymous by Paris, Texas, and I think you're really gonna like it.
Okay. Paris, Texas.
So yeah, it's a rap duo. It's like they're like an alt rap.
Oh,
duo.
dude, we're going to double rap this week. Hell yeah!
Yeah, sure. Like, why not? I mean, I feel like a Coast Contra is definitely going to be like a little more like typical rap. Like it's pretty mainstream. This is a little more like metal infused. It's it's actually very similar to like Kenny Mason. So I think you might like it.
Coast Contra and Paris, Texas have the like 10,000 monthly streamers off of each other.
Really?
On Spotify.
What's the number at?
Paris, Texas is at like 415,000 monthly listeners, and Coast Contra is like 430 or something like that.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so that's like
I mean, similar popularity. So
yeah, definitely. But two, like you'll probably notice like definitely very different styles of rap. And I mean, we can totally get into kind of the disparity and like how many styles of rap there are out there.
Yeah,
it's really one of the most diverse genres that I have gotten into. So,
you really get into the metal rap, which is pretty cool because I like more boom bappy shit.
Right, which is probably more closer to what Coast Contra is going to be.
Oh yeah, but it's like new age, like JID lyricism mixed with boom bap beats.
No, Paris, Texas is like high energy, like exciting, funny, even like just loud in your face. Like they're really cool. And yeah, and I'm like desperately waiting. Like you'll notice that album came out like 2 years ago. I'm like desperately waiting on new music from them. And they dropped a single. I was super hyped about it, but I couldn't remember if you listened to them or not. So they just dropped their new single Panic a couple weeks ago. So I've been bumping that. I'm just really looking forward to their new stuff. They did drop an EP not too long ago. I think that was actually it's still probably a while ago, probably over a year, but I didn't really like it as much as that Boy Anonymous, and I haven't heard this Boy Anonymous album in a long time now, so I am actually going to be excited to get back into that.
I'll have to see what I think of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So like, even if it's a shorter episode, like that's cool. I think it's worth hearing. So
for sure, dude.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. What else have you been listening to? If you have anything to
share. I guess like same old, but I got into Dino Cosmo Pike.
Not at all. I don't think.
Okay, he's kind of like an R&B kind of kind of like
cool.
Sabo a little bit, but not the kind of the happy side of Sabo. So and he I saw him on TikTok. Someone was like, "Oh, he dropped this song and like disappeared." I never heard of him before, so I got into him a little bit. It's pretty good.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm looking at his page right now.
Yeah, I think the song "Chronic Sunshine's" his biggest one.
I see that.
It blew up pretty big, so that was good. And I think he just dropped a single, so people are kind of talking about him right now.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then what else? Some Brent Faiyaz. Just love me some Brent Faiyaz.
Yeah, you're typical.
Yeah, I can't stop listening to him. He's just he's a utility.
Oh, for sure.
A utility artist for me. It's when I'm up, when I'm down, when I'm chilling.
For sure.
I kind of went back to Turnstile a little bit.
Turnstile, yeah.
Just like their second album.
That's sweet.
Listened to a lot.
Go back to the first ever episode of this.
Yeah, dude.
Feels like decades ago at this point. But...
The album Time and Space is really good. I've just kind of been jamming that out. It has a lot of short songs, but it's overall really good. I went back and listened to Love for Rent.
Yeah, I kind of been meaning to do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that this week. Hopefully, maybe.
The song No L's is fucking amazing, and Defibrillator.
I was just gonna say Defibrillator and Curtains. I love Curtains.
Yeah.
He played Curtains live, and that was probably the only song in his set that I was like pretty excited for. I really like that one. But yeah.
And then I kind of got back into some rap songs a little bit.
I love that. It's funny you say that. I listened to Doris not too long ago. This week for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Earl is just like special, man.
and some Steve Lacy, just kind of the usual for me a little bit, but not really.
There you
Like I kind of jumping around a little bit. Um, I haven't had a set thing that I'm listening to though. Kind of just bounce around with old stuff, new stuff.
Yeah,
I listen to, whatever we're listening to, and then I go back to other stuff. I'll listen to
yeah,
stuff I get recommended. Like I'm listening to everything right now, it feels like. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I like that feeling. I can't really relate lately because I feel like I've just like been busy. Like one thing for me, like when I'm working, like when I'm
mm,
coding or whatever homework, like
mm,
I like listening to stuff that like I'm familiar with because it's almost
I
kind of
agree.
like background noise. So that's why I've actually been like heavy on like the Griselda
Mm,
because it actually makes like decent background noise because like I guess just because it's like so I don't. It sounds weird. Like I don't think
yeah.
comforting is the word, but I'm so used to listening to that type of music that it like really just
Mhm.
resonates with me. So yeah, that and like another thing I'll listen to when I'm working is like my old playlists of like pop punk and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll
I
I'll do
think the
that.
I think the Griselda stuff too is like it's good to work too because you get into a rhythm because it has good
Yeah,
beat. You
definitely.
just like bob your head and type and then
Yeah,
or
I
write or
I like
whatever.
having stuff like that. Yeah, and I get that same feeling from like like some of like the old Fall Out Boy albums.
Mm-hmm.
So
100%.
yeah. Also this is not really a new thing, but I listened to Helplessness Blues the other day when it was like
Mm-hmm.
nice outside,
Yeah,
and God, that album's just amazing.
it
I
is
love
so
Fleet
good.
Foxes so much. Fleet Foxes is another kind of artist, another band that is pretty unique and just really scratches a niche itch that I
Mm-hmm.
don't think anyone else can really scratch for me.
Montezuma,
I,
Bowden Dress,
yeah, all those songs are amazing.
Lorelei.
A new one that I don't want to say discovered because I've loved this entire album ever since I
Mm-hmm.
first heard it in the summer, but a new one that I like appreciated more is the title track "Helplessness Blues."
Yeah,
I don't know. I never really gave that song much thought,
that'll
but I
that'll
really liked
be
it.
that'll be bumping on summertime for me.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So
Yeah, can't wait for summer, man.
it's
We're gonna have
almost
some
here,
fun in
dude.
the summer. Yeah,
Almost here.
but yeah, that's about it from me, dog. So
All right, yeah, I'm set too.
yeah, cool. Well, I guess if you made it to this point, thanks for listening.
Mm.
We appreciate you. Glad to have you, and hope to have you back next week when we talk about "Boy Anonymous" by Paris, Texas, and "Apartment 505" by Coast Contra.
Mm.
I'm excited for that episode. So yeah,
Yeah,
um,
it'll be a little different for us. We usually, we try to do a little mix up sometimes, but
yeah, right. No pun
next week's gonna be
intended.
a little rap oriented, which is sweet, dude. We haven't
Yeah,
really done that probably for a while, probably
yeah. I
since
mean,
like
I
5 years.
love talking rap music. Like I'll never grow out of that. So
But yeah, me neither. I love it. I love it
yeah,
a lot.
sweet.
So,
So I guess if you have any last
um,
words before we wrap it up here.
I guess for everybody, stay safe out there. It's getting a little warmer. People are being jackasses and driving
It's true.
unsafe and being really aggressive for no reason because it's warm and
That is actually a
human
proven
beings.
fact.
Yeah, crime goes up when it gets warmer
Yeah, and
because it's
so
easier
does
to break into
car
houses.
accidents. So
Yep.
yeah,
Because simply more people are out of their houses and it's nicer. So I almost got ran off the highway today because some dude wouldn't let me on the highway and he flipped me off and was like motherfucker and I'm like the guy ahead of me it was like so I couldn't drop back. I was blocked
stuck.
in, so
Yeah,
it's kind of one of those things of like I was pissed at first, but then I was like, you know what, I'm good. I'm on the road, I'm safe, I'm heading home.
there you go.
And yeah, I would just say if you feel like shit's stressful right now, just hang in there. Like it's not that serious. No matter what you're doing, what's bad, even the worst shit, like it's not that serious. You have other things in life that will balance that out in time. I think so. Whether that be a spring thing, end of the school year thing, personal life thing, just hang in there, man. Like
Yeah,
that's all I could say. It'll be okay. Just look at the sun. Don't look at the sun, but
don't stare at it.
look
Just bask in it.
look outside. Yeah, stand out and spread your arms and like
Yeah, I
photosynthesize.
agree. I agree.
But yeah, we've been Classic Mix Up. Thanks guys for listening. You could follow us on Twitter at Classic Mix
Yeah,
Up Pod. Um, We post kind of updates when things are out, little trivial things sometimes. It's just a way to figure out what's going on with us if we're still alive. But we'll still be here for you. So I hope you guys keep tuning in.
Yes, sir.
Thanks so much. We'll see you guys later.
Yep. Well said as always. We'll see you guys next week.